Welcome back to Snagd. This vid you're about to watch is split up into two sections. The first one is my latest trip to Lake Monduran chasing barra, and that goes for about 9 minutes. Then after that, it's just going to be a tackle talk where I talk to you guys about the rods, tackle, leader, hooks, sounders, how I go about finding a fish, just everything to do with Lake Monduran. That's going to be in that second section of this vid. Also, you'll see that I'm wearing the new Snagd fishing shirts. Switchbait, an Australian company, made these for me. They're 50 SPF rated, super comfy. If you do want one, let me know. I've got some spares. Send me a message on Instagram or Facebook or something like that. And yeah, they'll be $60 and that includes delivery. I've also got some hats as well. I just want to say a huge thank you to all those people that introduce themselves to me at the different boat ramps that I go to and come over and say g'day. It really makes my day and I appreciate it, guys. So if you do see me on the water, if you do see me around, come over and say g'day. We'll talk about whatever, fishing, I don't really care. And I also want to say a huge thank you to those people who have supported me so far. The channel's growing quite nicely and I'm really happy with it, and I'm excited as well for my next vid that's going to be coming up. It's going to be me and a mate going north again, and we're going to be chasing some barra. It's going to be a good time, so hang in for that one. So thank you again. Let's get into it, guys. Enjoy the vid. Oh, look at them all there, though. 1, 2, 3. This side. There's definitely heaps there. Oh, like look at them all coming through again. See if my sound is picking them up. It must be in this little space here. You get a hit? You would have.
Where I just go and touch.
Yep. Oh, you're still on? Are you still on? Mate, Shell, she's a weapon, eh? Like, we just, wow. You know, let me listen, you drag. Hold it steady. It's too tight.
Yeah, you guys.
Good timing. Shell just lost one earlier too. Holy sh**. That was a good hit.
Took my hook.
What? It broke it. Oh, it just broke your jackal squirrel.
Oh no.
Look at that.
That's my lucky one.
Look at that. Completely broke it. Jackal squirrel, please explain.
Oh, I was on.
Oh, that's heartbreaking, doll. Here now. There's enough there to have a crack at, you know? Oh yeah, there's a few in there. Decides. Yep. Oh, it's off. It's off.
only 2 feet, but if you go down better, it's not too bad.
Copy that. I've just stumbled across some barra here, so I'm just going to fish this for a bit. Yep, yep, yep. Oh, grab that net for me. Oh, superstar. Hey, I'll come this side if I can. Oh, geez, must be. Come on, don't play that game. I'm at the leader. I don't have a bloody boat. What's up my motor? Oh, oh my god, it's a big barra. Oh. Can't get him up. Just wait for that net. When we get a shot, we'll do it. I'll get him pass again. Oh, he is on. It was a good barra too, wasn't it? Yeah. Sorry, you did well on the net. This is our bite zone here, Dale. Yep. Oh. Oh. Good fish. Good fish. Come on. Hey. I'm so nervous. It dropped.
Oh.
It dropped.
Are you serious? Oh.
What do I have to do? What do I have to do? What do I have to do? These jackal's sticking. I was slow winding it, Dale. I reckon we'll be able to pluck one out of here if they keep doing what they're doing. Yep. Oh, off. Off. I was on. See that boil? Oh. Lost another one. Oh man, this is the second jackal now that has buggered up on me. It's like full on split. It's like just cracked open. Ugh. Great. I'm going to have a bit of a chat about the leader I use, the hooks I use, the lures I use, the sort of sounders and some of the settings that I operate on, and also rods, reels, braid and those sorts of things as well. Let's start really quick with what I use to find the fish. This is the Humminbird Helix 12, the Gen 3. I had the Lowrance TI2 in the 9-inch, and that a lot of Lowrance is nothing in comparison to this Humminbird. Without this Humminbird, I wouldn't be able to find them as easily as I can. And that is the hardest part, and I said it again and again, of Lake Monduran. The trip that I had just gone, that I had just been, I went from Tuesday to Friday. I really struggled to find the Barramundi, and the ones that I did find, I managed to get a bite from, as you guys just saw in the last few minutes of the vid at start. But this Humminbird on the side scan, I go 25 meters out. I always muck around with my sensitivity, my contrast, all the little different settings that you can play with on your Humminbird. I play with them all the time. I usually try to scan on the right hand side of my boat where it's nice and bright. But on some, when you're in Lake Monduran, obviously the shallower water is quite bright, so you want to adjust your brightness quite down so you can see everything really, really clearly. I have a 10 speed on the chart, so everything moves quite quickly, and I can see the Barramundi very easily, especially when I'm just cruising with my motor. I usually don't look for Barramundi using my electric motor. I only look for them using my 42 stroke, sorry. I find that the sound of the engine doesn't really bother them too much, so I'll just cruise around. It's a lot quicker and a lot easier for me to hunt and try and find the Barramundi if I'm just using my motor instead of my electric. Plus, I only have the one battery in my boat, and if I'm running this all day, which I normally do, I don't normally run out of battery, but it's just another reason why I don't worry about doing that. So that's the sounder that I use. Now let's talk about some of the rods, and these rods that I've just have just been taken off my boat and have just been used. Probably my favorite setup would be this bait cast. This is the ATC Combat Plus bait caster. The gear ratio is 6:3:1. And I have 50 pound Suffix 832 on there, and I always tie on this 80 pound Black Magic leader. I don't use fluorocarbon because I want these lures to suspend. Fluorocarbon is heavy in the water and it sinks, mono floats. And the 80 pound supple trace, I get a really, really tight knot on the FG knot that I use, or just tying on the simple knots that I do for the lures. But yeah, I find that especially the FG knot, it just cinches down so tight when you're using the supple leader here from Black Magic. And yeah, I mean, if I'm using 50 pound when I'm flicking in the tight timber, when I know that I think I won't be able to get a Barramundi out, the drag is probably about 5 kilos of drag. I find any heavier, you start to pull hooks, and I had that mistake a few times this trip where my drag was too tight, and that was on the spinning gear. And that's the one issue I have with spinning gear. You can't really adjust, and you can't thumb your spool. You can't really, in the heat of things, adjust this your drag pressure, especially when the Barramundi gets close to the boat, because that's the most dangerous. They start doing weird things. They go under your boat, they dart out, they're just erratic, and that's when I lost most of my fish, unfortunately. But yeah, the bait cast was great. As you can see, I spin using my left hand on the bait caster, then I switch over to my right hand on my spinning gear. It doesn't make sense to me to have this on the other side because I do all my casting, just with the one fluid motion. I'll show you guys what I mean. Like, I'm right-handed, so I flick it out, bring it in, flick it out. I don't have to worry about switching hands over and things like that, so it makes it a bit easier for me. And this is on a Blade and Tails 6'3", 20 to 40 pound rod. And I've got to tell you, this rod feels really, really nice in the hand. It's very light, and combined with the bait caster, I find it's a really nice setup. And yeah, 50 pound, I wouldn't go anything less, especially if you're flicking in tight timber, because barramundi, you can get some that are really docile, and you can get some that are just erratic, and they'll just burn your thumb into the timber. So you want to make sure you're fishing with some sort of heavy braid. And I find the Suffix 832, based on Drew M's vid that he did, he tested in a few braid, J braid, and heaps of braids, and he found that the 832 was, during his experiment, his test, was definitely the most abrasive resistant, which is really good to know. On the other sort of setups, I run the Exceller, the Daiwa Exceller. This is the 4000. I also run the 5000 size as well, and these are my favorite reels. They're like $140, and they are so good. I almost haven't done any maintenance, any servicing for about 2 years. I've had these, and they are good as gold. J-Braid Grand 30 pound. This is Suffix 832 in the 30 pound here. Always running the 80 pound leader. As you can see, I got a Gantia tied onto that. I did throw that around, but didn't have much success. And this particular rod, that's the Shimano Barra Raider, and the spin's 662, and it's 5 to 10 kilos. Really good rod, especially if you're looking for something a little bit more affordable. It's around 100, and you can actually get them for about $90 if you get them on sale. This particular rod here is definitely my favorite rod of all time. It's the Swamp Donkey, the TD Black, and this is 4 to 9 kilos, and it's 1.93 meters long, whatever that is in feet. Black and gold Jackal Squirrel here is good, but I'll run through my tackle in a second. My lures, but that's yeah, that's a 5000 size, and this is the rod. And I've actually got 2 of these rods. The other rod I did have was this one here, same Swamp Donkey. This is a TD Soul 3, 4000 size. This is 20 pound braid. I do not recommend running 20 pound braid at Lake Monduran. I am lazy, I didn't switch it over. I did hook a really big barra with this setup, and I have caught an 84 centimeter barra using this that did run me into some timber, but I've also been cut off at Lake Monduran because it ran me into tight timber. And this braid is the Berkeley X9, and this is the 20 pound. I personally am not a huge fan of this particular reel. I upgraded this drag system to carbon washers, and the dragger here isn't as sensitive as it is with felt washers. So if I do a few clicks this way, it turns from 5 kilos of drag to about 9 kilos of drag, which in hindsight, which might be great if you really want to lock it up. You got 50 pound braid, all your terminal tackles like rock solid, and the hook set in the fish is beautiful. But I find the barramundi have soft little lips on the outside, and what they were doing our trip is they weren't swallowing the lures that we had. They were just kind of like telling them to go away, and they were just side swiping them. So you hook them in the side of the face, you got a tight drag, they're just going to pull hooks or bend your hooks. And yeah, so that's what I found with this guy. But hey, he'll stop, this reel will stop some big fish, let me tell you. But it's just not my favorite for Lake Monduran, when you got to be a little bit more sensitive with your drag. And then just like your cheaper options here, I do have, this is a Sedona reel, 3000 size, on another Barra Raider, but a bit lighter, 5 to 8 kilos. And this is the 30 pound Shimano braid, 80 pound leader again. And look, it'll do the job, and it has done the job. If you've seen any of my Barramundi videos, you'll know that my sister put this through its paces in winter in our first Barramundi vid. An 84 centimeter barra that ran under the boat, and this drag was locked, didn't go anywhere, and this rod bent. And the Shimano braid is not too bad. I'm not really that fussy with my braids, but if I'm going to be going out and if I'm going to be going and buying brand new braid, I'm definitely getting Suffix 832. So they're the rods and they're sort of the reels I use. Jackal Squirrels. I don't go to Lake Monduran without a black and gold lure. This one is the one recently that my wife hooked onto, and it broke the back of the Jackal Squirrel. And I was unlucky enough for that to happen again, and it just got crushed. I don't know what happened, but all the inside of this Jackal Squirrel split, water got into it, and doesn't swim properly. And that was right after I got a hit from a barramundi. So the golds seem to work really well. Like if I'm finding the bite's tough, I'm throwing on a black and gold, and I'll fish that, and I'll keep fishing that because I know it works. The other jackal squirrel, and these are 79s, double deep in the silent version, so they don't have a rattle, they're just silent, and you want to keep it pretty quiet. I take off the split ring on the front, and I just tie my loop knot into that. I always, I'll run through the hooks and stuff I use in a minute, but I also run, I've got a few jackal squirrels in here, a few different sizes. I know people do catch them off the chrome one there, and that's a white pointer, similar to a jackal squirrel. And these are a few retired jackal squirrels that just don't work anymore because I've just damaged them over the times that they've been here. This one here, that's like the red claw they call it. It's got a rattle in it. You can really hear it in the water. I don't like it that much. And this one here, I don't really enjoy. You know what, I use it, but I don't think it's as successful as the black and gold. And the other one that I will always flick because I know it works and I know it works really well, that's this one, the pink eye suji, and I always manage to get a bite using this lure as well. So this one and the black and gold, you cannot go wrong at Lake Monduran, in my opinion. And in terms of the retrieve you do on those, look, I've caught these on like a 10-second pause before, where you jerk it down and you pause it, wait 10 seconds, and you give it a wind, and you do it again. And my wife, she's caught several doing that, but I find a slow wind sometimes gets the bite, and that's what happened this last trip and last trip as well. This trip and last trip. As you can tell, like the drag on the sole, like it's pretty tight. I'd say it's about 8-9 kilos of drag just there. That's too tight. But like I said, no Barramundi is the same. It can fight like, you know, a wet rag, or it can just run you and scream you into the timber, and you just don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen. So you just got to be prepared. Always be prepared. So other tackle I use, the Xeric Vibes. They, in 2019 at Lake Monduran, the Xeric Vibes were the go. In deeper water, 4 to 5 meters, the Xeric Vibes. And I upgraded. Well, you can upgrade these hooks to any size. You just go to your tackle store and so these are the standard hooks that come with the Xeric Vibes. And these are 95 size. They're quite thin. I found at Lake Monduran, if you hook a good fish and you hook it in the side of the face, it'll bend out the back of those hooks, and it did. And they're the ones that I upgraded to. They're the owner, I think they're size 4, 6 times strong. And you can kind of tell the difference in size just there. They're real sticky hooks too. So they're quite a good option if you're looking to upgrade your Xeric Vibes. You don't need to, but I've bent out hooks before. So there, I guess that's most of the tackle. I'll go there with jackal squirrels, and I'll go there with vibes, because I know both of those work. It's just one of those dams where jackal squirrels seem to work really well. I had my jackal Gantia, I was throwing that around a big swim bait. Didn't really get any hits. I did also buy a few of these. This is a 5-inch hollow belly in a beast owner hook with a flashy rig set up to it. It looks really good in the water, but not like it just didn't get any interest from the barra. When the bite's tough, you go jackal or squirrel. It just works. And if you're having a bit of fun, you've caught 6, 7, 8 barra, then maybe you'd mix it up and you throw some other stuff because you're feeling confident. In terms of the hooks, let's go hooks and tackle, okay? Jackal squirrel. YW77 size 2 in the middle, and then these are exactly the same but size 4, and I put them on the end. As you can tell, bigger hook in the middle, small hook in the back. What it does is, when you jerk it down, it stops, it levels out, and it usually sits flush, or it slowly rises, slowly. And you do it again, and it does the same thing. You want it in the bite zone as long as possible. If your jackal squirrel's sinking, if it's heavy like that, you just won't get the hit. Slow winding a jackal squirrel, on the other hand, you can use any type of hook that you want. You can upgrade these to the heavy hooks, because you're just winding it in, and as it winds in, it's just going back and forth. And in a tough bite, that's what worked. A slow retrieve, a consistent slow retrieve got the bite. But if you're pausing, you really want to make sure you level these out. I dropped a lot of fish last trip using these hooks when they side swiped them. If they suck these in with these hooks, you'll most likely catch the barramundi. But if they're hitting it on the side of their mouth, then you're gonna find that it's a bit harder to land a fish. And that's when I think different hooks come into their own. Like, for example, where is it? This one here on the bait caster. These are the standard jackal squirrel hooks on this one here. The ones that come straight out of the packet. Took the split ring off and I didn't worry about using that. You don't need it. But my mate caught his PB 85 using standard hooks on a slow retrieve. I think these type of J hooks work a lot better than these curled hooks if they're barra just swiping them in their face. But they don't really sit nicely in the water, I find. Although, look, it's not a bad option if you're, looking to save a bit of money. Maybe have one sort of jackal that you've upgraded and then one keep it standard just to see what works, because you don't want to lose a barra, I tell you. It's the worst feeling in the world after you've been fishing all day. And I also always, I would always upgrade the split rings. And the split rings that I use here on these particular ones are the size 3, those ones, 60 pound here, the extra strong ones. And I usually upgrade all my tackle here. And I've got just some spare tackle that I always keep, hooks, split rings, that sort of stuff. These are those beast hollow bellies, that the hooks that I use for the hollow bellies there. And they're the shiners that I have on there as well. I'm doing a trip again soon, so I'm going to be using all that tackle. Yeah, so you can't really go wrong if you go to Lake Monduran with that gear. And it's the only gear that I'll run. I have 6 rods that I set up, all sort of rigged a bit differently. No barra is the same. You cannot have a lock drag all the time. If you have a lock drag, you know what's going to happen? You're going to pull hooks on a big fish. Because they're weird when they get close to the boat. They just, like all fish really, but you just don't want to lose it. It's worst case scenario. And I've had my fair share of that. Apart from that, enjoy yourself at Lake Monduran. Always follow the wind. The wind is 99, 80% of the time the barra are at the windy points. But I'll tell you what, if you're sounding those windy points and they're not there, then you can almost guarantee they're somewhere you wouldn't expect them. And I've usually had success when you just go to a random bay, maybe out of the wind, somewhere on the opposite side, you might see, hey, holy, there's barra here for some reason. It doesn't always happen, but it can happen. And if that is the case, then you've stumbled across what I would call the holy grail of Barramundi. And in my latest vid, you always know, I can tell when I'm going to be on, because rather than seeing Barramundi just kind of flush through on the sound like 1s and 2s and 3s, like it's great, you found Barramundi, they're in the zone, but they're just cruising through. Like you might get lucky to put a lure in one of its bases and hook up, but at the end of the day, you really want to find them just in like a ball, like on the sounder. You're just like, oh wow, look at these, like there's like 6, 7, 8, 9 just in a ball sitting in 2 to 3 meters right off a bank, off a point. Then you're on, and every time that happened, I called it and we caught fish. It was hard to find those though, for some reason, for us this trip. I really struggled. I was fishing windy points, I couldn't see them. And believe it or not, I went back to the boat ramp, finished up. It's our 4th day of fishing, and I found 30 to 40 plus barramundis schooled up right on the point near the boat ramp. And I had a flick, but my wife was kind of over. It was about 30 degrees, didn't have a bimini, like everyone was overheating. I did flick at them, I didn't catch any, but I reckon if I stuck at it for a good hour, I would have caught one. So it's just one of those things, it's one of those lakes. I love it there. It's super relaxing. I would recommend it to anybody. But just keep in mind, you need a decent sounder. Not super essential. You can always just look at other boats that have all the gear and go, oh yeah, he's fishing there. It must be something around that point. That's worked for me before. Otherwise, you go out there, you hunt them, you find them yourself. It's super rewarding when you do get onto a barra. Yeah, but good luck. Hopefully this vid has helped. Yeah, I mean, that's just the stuff that I use, and I've been out there a few times now. So yeah, that's basically sums up my experiences and my knowledge and what I do at Lake Monduran. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Obviously I'm going to be back out there next week, believe it or not at Lake Monduran, but somewhere near that, chasing big barramundi. That on the grapevine there are some big barramundi in this new little spot that I'm going to be going to soon. So keep an eye out the next week or two. Hopefully I'm going to have an epic Barramundi vid that slays the Barramundi. And I'm telling you guys, I'm feeling good. There's meteries there. I got a mate. I'm going there with a mate, I guess. I'm going there in his boat. We're towing his boat in my car. We're going to head up there. We're going to find some big barra. Stay tuned. Next vid coming soon. Big Barramundi. Let's get into it. Cheers, guys.